everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Welcome everyone to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting humankind with universal love, or as I like to say, uniting the whole world with the most important, most dynamic, one of the most prolific medical doctors and naturopathic doctors who is here to tell you how the milk got in the coconut, i.e. how your body works and what you can do for total body wellness. And her name is Dr. Carolyn Dean. And you will want to strap yourself in, get a good, nice, thick glass of water, maybe with minerals in it if you're already using Dr. Dean's products, and be prepared for a wonderful show, another amazing requiem of fantastic information that you're going to want to have and hold near and dear to your heart and actually implement. My name's Ginny Sanders. I'll be with you for the next 2 hours as well. And we're going to have live caller interaction. We've got an incredible topic tonight that we're going to be talking about, and that is about how your body uses protein for your benefit, what it does in your body, and how it interacts with vitamins and minerals in order to optimize itself. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be taking your emails and messages through our email system and also through our live YouTube here, chatting with wonderful people like Alan, who is back with us, and all of our tremendous listeners who return week after week. And we're going to be supporting you in the thing that matters the most, which is your health. Now, let me just say this. I know there's a lot of confusion out there right now about what is the optimum way to navigate through these times. But we are going to take the high road, and we're going to say the best thing to do is to get and stay healthy. And one person that I know who has gotten and stayed healthy beyond any other person I know on the face of the earth is Dr. Dean. She is her own walking, talking N=1 experiment example. She's one of the very few doctors who will actually take her own prescription for health, vitality, and well-being. And she is uniquely qualified to speak to these times and also the disparaging things that are happening in our environment, in our food supply and in our water supply and these other things that people have to navigate through. But you know, your body has a natural design, a latent intelligence in it. And if you give it the basic building blocks, it's going to be A-OK. And that's the purpose of our show, to let you know it's going to be A-OK. And Dr. Dean's going to help you get where you want to go in creating your own wellness and sustaining it. And that's also a healthy mind, not full of anxiety and plagued with fear and uncertainty. And that's also a clear and open heart, being emotionally available to life, being expectantly joyful that life is going to meet you and greet you with the very best it has to offer, and that you're worthy and you deserve to have the very best that life has to offer. And she knows how to do all those things because she's done them for herself and taught many, many millions of others how to do it for themselves over the course of her illustrious 50-year career, which is a long time, really, except Carolyn is so young that it doesn't seem like she's really been doing it that long. So without further ado, I will bring her on, our very own most excellent. They couldn't wait.
I love the children. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you once again, Jenny, for the great send-off. Where do I start? So much to do today. We have a blog. We have testimonials on our protein powder, and the blog is about protein. Yes, we have questions. But before we go there, I do have a sidebar, and this is something that's important for our customer service people to know. Ginny and I know it well, but it's just kind of come to a head. Okay. We just the other day had a question from a customer who stumbled upon Morley Robbins and his root cause protocol. The customer said, I trust Dr. Dean and her lifetime of experience over Morley's, but I was just wondering why he tells people to stop silver, zinc, and vitamin D.
Carolyn,
So,
real quick, tell people who Morley is in case they don't know.
Coming to that.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
So when I read this, I had to comment because people are being harmed. What's happened here? I mean, you can see it in the midst of a so-called pandemic. Morley is scaring people away from silver, zinc, and vitamin D, which are exactly what you need to support the structure and function of your immune system. So why is he doing that? And to answer Ginny's question, Morley is a non-medical lay researcher. He's a former hospital administrator who stormed on the health scene a few years ago. He sought me out at a health conference in 2013 wearing a Superman t-shirt that said Magnesium Man. We talked and I gave him a lot of advice. However, he quickly stabbed me in the back. He immediately went to the conference booking agent and asked to give a talk about magnesium at the next Health Freedom Conference in 6 months. He took my magnesium spot, which I'd had for years. He then started a magnesium Facebook page and invited me to visit, which I did. But in 2014, a year after I met him, when my original distributor before the illustrious Ginny, this original distributor stole several $100,000 from me and wrote horrible things about me online to deflect from his fraud. And Morley wouldn't support me. He let people on his forum shred me to pieces and didn't say one word in my defense. They were also talking on his forum about the Corinthian acanthus leaves and columns on our formula labels as being a devil face. Acanthus leaves are a medicinal herb, for Pete's sakes. So Morley didn't stop that bashing, but I guess it was time to get rid of me. He knew about Remag. He knew its superior absorption, but he was being supported by another magnesium company, and I guess I was competition. He wouldn't even let his people talk about Remag on his forum. Ginny was beside herself with contempt for what Morley did, but we took the high road and let it pass. It's only now, years after, that I'm telling this story for the first time because I think it's dangerous what he is doing. He's written for years that people should not take silver, zinc, and vitamin D. That information is all over the internet. And how many people are deficient in those nutrients because of his misguided advice? After tapping into the epidemic of magnesium deficiency, Morley began to branch out. He said that iron overload was the cause of all chronic disease, not magnesium. Then he said it was copper imbalance. Unfortunately, in the past number of years, he's developed all kinds of theories, and he demands that his many followers on his Facebook page follow his root cause protocol. Over the years, I've heard from researchers and publishers that he's managed to offend with his unique approach. But let me address what our customer is asking about and why he insists that people stop silver, zinc, and vitamin D. Because making blanket statements like he does can be very confusing and dangerous. I know our customer service spends time answering Morley-related questions, and this is the biggest one. So how does he justify telling people not to take these 3 nutrients in the middle of a so-called pandemic? I think that it's because Morley is talking in half-truths. He finds shocking facts in his reading, and he likes to dazzle his audience with the bright light of his brilliance, but it's often information that's not clinically applicable and only a half truth. He is not a doctor. He's not a clinician. So about colloidal silver, Morley says colloidal silver lowers copper, so you shouldn't use it. Blanket statement. Now, colloidal silver is a silver compound, and it may lower copper. I don't even know if there's enough research to prove that. However, I know our picosilver is safe. It's low potency, stabilized ion of silver, not a silver compound. So picosilver acts like silver that's naturally in our food or water. Our silver has been an incredible assist to people with all sorts of infections, used externally for sinus, dental, fungal, eye infections, etc., and internally for everything else from prostatitis to colds and flus. But I suppose we're not allowed to say any of that because the FDA won't let us. However, continuing, copper that Morley says may be lowered by silver intake is not at risk with picosilver. But most of our customers are also on Remite, which has a good balance of bioavailable copper and zinc that solves any copper issues. And copper and zinc are two of the 12 minerals in Remite. Number two, about zinc, Morley has the same argument about zinc and copper. He says not to take zinc because it bumps copper out of the body. Again, our Remite takes care of the copper zinc balancing act. However, zinc is monumentally important in protecting cells from viral attack. And our stabilized ion of zinc puts this mineral directly inside the cells where it's needed, and it doesn't need a carrier to get it in there. Number three, this is a longer one about vitamin D. From Grassroots Health, people who are regular listeners will know that I've studied their work on the importance of vitamin D. And there are thousands of studies that support its use. But the caveat is that you have to use it with magnesium. And of course, the best magnesium is Remag. However, Morley's got this idea that vitamin D is a hormone and you shouldn't use large doses of a hormone, which is probably true. So he makes this big brash statement and expects everyone to bow down to it. However, he's wrong. Only a small fraction of vitamin D has hormone-like properties. It's not a hormone, but he warns people to not use more than 1 to 2 IUs of vitamin D. And that actually used to be the amount I recommended. But fortunately, I kept studying vitamin D and realized that Grassroots Health, with their clinical research, ongoing research about vitamin D, that it was time to make higher dosage recommendations. And I created the D3K2 reset before the 2020 viral outbreak. Morley also says active vitamin D increases the absorption of zinc, which, as I said earlier, he says is bad because it lowers copper. So he jumps on this known interaction between zinc and copper and acts like the body isn't smart enough to figure out how to take care of itself. In many articles and interviews, Morley talks about the dangers of too much copper, from copper plumbing, pesticides, even the copper IUD. People ask us all the time, what's really the case with copper? Is there too much or too little? To put it in perspective, there are too many copper compounds that block receptors and not enough bioavailable copper ions, which you can get from liver and or Remite. The next thing about vitamin D is Morley dramatically denounces vitamin D testing. The blood testing standard is 25 OHD, and it's the storage inactive form of vitamin D. The active form, 125-OHD, is not chosen as the standard because it's not a good indicator of vitamin D status, because it has a short half-life measured in hours, so it's there and then gone. Serum levels are tightly regulated by parathyroid hormone, calcium, and phosphate, so it stays within a certain narrow range, which we're used to with serum magnesium. That's why serum magnesium can't really be used as an accurate measure of magnesium status, because it's tight range that the body keeps it in. And then 3, the levels of 125-OHD do not typically decrease until vitamin D deficiency is severe. So that means we're stuck with the storage test, and we're kind of stuck with the storage form of vitamin D until you have enough magnesium to activate it. If you have the magnesium alongside the vitamin D, then you have a proper measure of the vitamin D that will turn active with the magnesium. And Morley doesn't emphasize that enough. He just likes the shock effect of, wow, they're using the wrong test, and aren't they stupid? So yes, without the whole picture, storage vitamin D being blocked because it's not active, we are finally measuring the right thing if we use our vitamin D along with magnesium. And there are 8 steps in the processing of vitamin D from the storage form to the active form. So to me, that speaks a lot about the need for magnesium. So it's not the vitamin D that's bad. It just won't work properly without magnesium. This fact actually confuses all the vitamin D researchers, because if they're giving vitamin D to someone who doesn't have enough magnesium to process the vitamin D, you won't get a beneficial reaction, and your studies are all kind of corrupt. Also, vitamin D should be taken with vitamin K2 to help direct any excess calcium to the bones, which is also a function of magnesium, to direct, kind of solubilize calcium and direct it to the bones. And finally, let me just mention hair analysis, which is a modality that Morley started studying when he hit the health scene, and he relies upon. I had him do mine back in the day to see if it had changed any since I rejected hair analysis back in my naturopathic training. I found it to be too arbitrary a tool. For example, the hair analysis so-called experts would say that, well, autistic children could have high mercury in their hair, or they could have low mercury because they aren't eliminating it. So what was the point of testing if it could be high or low or in between? And it turned out my test was really hard to read, since I was pretty much saturated with magnesium. My magnesium hair levels were high normal, so that measurements made all the magnesium ratios seem abnormal. Like the magnesium calcium ratio was off, that everything was off. So I realized that just like any other health test, interpretation is based on sick people with their abnormal results. And they can't be used to evaluate people who are in optimal health with optimal nutrients. So let me pull Jenny in to see her comments and see if that made sense as a critique and not just gossip.
Oh, sorry, I'm here. It's I don't think it's a gossip at all. I think it's very important because magnesium. Morley started a group called the Magnesium Advocacy Group on Facebook. That's kind of what I wanted you to point out, is where this comes from, because social media has become very powerful, and we all know about Dr. Google now, and there are unwitting people. And part of the reason why they're susceptible to this is because a lot of people on the magnesium advocacy group appear and act as though they know what they're talking about, because they've been fortified by this very bad information, including an adrenal cocktail that is recommended through this. There's a lot of bad natural health information that's given through this forum. And what I don't like about it is they shame people who ask more questions or challenge the questions that are being given. And when they say something like, well, you say for me to do this, but my doctor told me that I needed to take 50,000 IUs a vitamin D a week because I'm former breast cancer patient. If you say that in our world, what we say is take 70, take 10,000 IUs a day, and don't just take 50 in one lump sum, because vitamin D is like the sun and you should get it every day. Don't try to, and then take your magnesium. And we're all about that. But they will tell people not to even do that when they have a cancer diagnosis and a previous history and all this. I mean, the correlation between vitamin D, breast cancer, and prostate cancer is, well, that's what Carol Bagerly even got into the whole grassroots health thing because of.
Right.
Because of her own breast cancer, for crying out loud. So they'll tell these people not to do these things because they're fortified with Morley's horrible information. And then when you give them and direct them to an absolute doctor, which is what Carolyn is, or any other doctor for that matter, that has a very, clear and specific ability to communicate about what the body requires, they immediately just bash that person. And they do what they did with Carolyn. They tossed her off the forum because she was putting Morley in check. I mean, this is so, the only thing that people can do for themselves then is stand up for themselves in this forum. And mostly what people end up doing is leaving. We've seen this happen over and over again. And then what ends up happening, of course, is that there are, again, more unsuspecting people on there who get victimized by this very bad information. So I just want to say, to our very strong, articulate group of listeners, if you know people who are being victimized by bad medical advice, be sure to redirect them to a credible source of information like Carolyn, and be sure to support them in challenging that information, because it's very, very dangerous, especially right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, yeah.
Look what Sharice is saying. I'm sorry, Carolyn. I get so wound up about she should have never opened up my microphone. Look what Sharice says. She says, I found that group before I found you, and quite frankly, he scared me. The information was fear-based, and I didn't understand half of what he recommended, and clarification was never given. Boom. And there it is right there.
Wow.
And see, here's Carolyn, who's a doctor, who's actually sitting on the radio talking to the world. Anyone, anywhere in the world can call and talk and call into this show. We've had people calling from Australia, China, New Zealand, from Europe. We've had people calling from the UK. I mean, all over the world. Canada, of course, our Canadian friends. And of course, here in the United States. People can call from all over the world and speak with her, and she'll give them clarity out, for days.
Yeah, that's amazing, Sharice. That I think you nailed it there, the fear-based, because see, he was a hospital administrator, and medicine is very fear-based. They think that's the way to corral people into their hospital and take their drugs and do all the testing and make all the money they can from what they're doing. And I've always fought against fear-based health advice. And you do see that on some of the big supplement websites as well. You've got to take this supplement or you'll die. So none of that is necessary. And you know, I'm happy you feel that this is a safe place to be and get your information and ask your questions. So yes, I don't like bashing people in any way. I think everybody has a place, and I'm sure some people are helped by some of Morley's information, but on the whole, it should not be fear-based, and it should not be telling people not to take things that are vitally important.
Yeah. I agree. Very good. All right. Excellent.
Okay, sweetie. So just, you know, take some Remag and calm down. We are on the side of the angels who we command. So we're good. We're good.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Ginny was just so supportive of me and what I was going through. And I just said, well, you know, I'm not gonna be in a dirt fight about this, you know. He'll meet his maker one day, and it's today. Who knew? Okay, so Magnesium and Protein Miracle blog. And it is because we've got Restructure back in the house, thank goodness. We got vanilla Restructure, we got chocolate Restructure, and protein is very important, but it's the digestibility of protein that's also important. I think there'll be a question later where someone talks about, you know, digesting a powder and all this. And I'll say this before I forget. When you take a protein powder, you should be chewing it, you know, kind of swirling it around in your mouth to get your salivary enzymes going to help the digestion. When people take their protein powder and just gulp it down, you know, in one shot, that's going to kind of overwhelm your digestion somewhat. So that's you know, one of the most important things about protein powders. Excuse me. They're excuse me. They're taking the place of solid food. And a solid food is something you're going to chew and swallow. Let me swallow some water. 1 second.
Yes, and while you're doing that, let me just say that my husband Greg, he always puts the psyllium in his shake, and that does make it very chewy. It does slow down the amount of time that you can get it down your throat hole.
Interesting. That's why he does that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, he's a smart man. I know that. So the blog, which you can see in your inbox or at drcarolyndeanlive.com, it'll be on the homepage right near the top. So magnesium plays many important roles in the structure and function of the human body. The adult human body contains 25 grams of magnesium. Over 60% of all the magnesium in the body is found in the skeleton, 27% in the muscle, 6 to 7% in other cells, and less than 1% outside of the cells in the blood. So where does magnesium factor into protein synthesis? It's necessary for protein synthesis at the ribosomal level. And the ribosomes are the cellular organelles where proteins are synthesized. Magnesium activates the amino acids involved and allows the messenger RNA to attach to the ribosomes. Magnesium is also found in the nucleus of the cell and is essential for the stability of the nucleic acids, RNA and DNA. If DNA and RNA structure do not remain stable, you may have mutations in the code and produce incorrect peptides or none at all during protein synthesis. Energy for the production of proteins must come from ATP. You have heard me say 100 times that magnesium is required in 6 of the 8 steps of the Krebs cycle to make ATP. Without magnesium being available in many areas of the cell, protein synthesis cannot occur. So, I mean, that's our grounding right there. In order to mobilize, to create and then mobilize your protein, you need magnesium. And about the protein in the body, we're just one big page of protein, page being, the code that is written in the DNA to make protein. Muscle, hair, skin, connective tissue are mainly made up of protein. Protein is not only critical to every single cell in your body, but also is part of the structure and function of hormones, enzymes, antibodies, just about everything your body produces. Protein allows the neurotransmitters on our cells to communicate with each other. Additionally, on the macro level, eating protein slows down the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream, lowering elevated blood sugar levels, lowering insulin, and helping the body burn fat. So that, just in terms of the way food is processed, if you eat fruit, that's metabolized quickly. Fat is the slowest, and protein is in the middle. I try not to get too involved in the debate as to which source of protein is the best, animal or plant-based, because I believe it's an individual choice based on results. If the result of a vegetarian diet are that you feel great, then it's a good choice for you. But if it makes you feel unhealthy, then add other foods. And we had the example of one of my foster daughters who tried to be a vegan vegetarian for 20 years. And it wasn't until she had a lot of problems that she finally, threw in the towel and listened to her foster mother and began eating meat, and felt, past 3 years, she's felt tremendously better because of it. So not everybody can do a plant-based diet. Only 4% of the total population of North America is vegan vegetarian, yet they make you think that the only way to be healthy is to eat plant-based. There's an agenda there. There is a political agenda that a certain segment of the population thinks that growing animals to eat, there's something wrong with that, or that it takes up too much land on which humans could be living, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to go by how you feel. I felt horrible every time I tried a vegetarian diet, and I tried it many times. I'm an O blood group, and that seems to have a basis in how I digest my food. A's and B's do a bit better on vegetarian diet, or they do more than better, I would say. But now I think there's so much kind of what is it I should say here? People have not stayed in their geographical agricultural areas, which help them develop their digestion, their digestive capabilities, and match their blood types to what they were growing and what they were eating. Everybody's moved all over the world. So I don't know if you can define people by their blood type anymore. That I think the humans in the world are also intermingled, that I don't think you can separate one culture from another in terms of diet or anything else for that matter. We're all humans. Our cells are all the same. So anyway, continuing, your protein sources should be chosen from the highest quality of food you can find: organic, natural, free-range, grass-fed, GMO, and hormone-free. The cleaner the food source, the more availability of valuable nutrients. Just common sense there. How do I know if I'm getting enough protein? I mean, this is really difficult. I did have a nutritionist degree in New York at one time, but I just find it very difficult, to define people by their diet, except to tell them to try something and makes them feel better or continue it. We do have someone that we refer to, a master's nutritionist, a nurse, RN, master's nutritionist, who helps people specifically with their diet. So I'm not good at answering specific diet questions. But what we do know about protein is if you don't get enough, you can have apathy, irritability, spaced out feeling, lack of muscle mass, weak muscles, low blood sugar, diarrhea or intolerance to dairy products, lack of stomach acid leading to gas and bloating, low body temperature, cravings for meat, peanut butter, eggs, dairy, nuts or beans, and poor condition of nails and or hair. But all those symptoms can be interchangeable with other deficiencies, of course. Conversely, a list of evidence that you're getting too much protein: osteoporosis, kidney problems, kidney stones, dehydration, ketones in your urine, chronic bad breath, joint pain, constipation, and indigestion. And then in the blog, I have the way to determine the number of grams of protein you need to eat each day to stay balanced. And I don't know how accurate this is. It's a standard that is used. I have written about this, and it's probably in the Restructure book. And it's to multiply your ideal weight in kilograms by 0.8. That's a metric version, or multiply your ideal weight in pounds by 0.35. And I don't know, personally, I don't think I'm getting that much protein. I do try to take a scoop of Restructure every day. I know Restructure has 12 grams of protein. It may be that the vanilla has 11 and the chocolate has 12. I noticed that just today. But I do know the absorption is so high with Restructure, and people have told us that it really feels to them like they're getting much more protein than just 11 or 12 grams. So I can't really be more specific than that. You can do the multiplying your weight in pounds by 0.35 and see what, for me, that would be like 35, 40 grams a day. And I don't know that I'm getting that. And let me, before going to the blog questions, let me ask Jenny, what's your take on protein? Did you ever measure the number you need, and how do you define your protein needs? Jenny will come. She's closing out several fields.
Here we go.
There she is.
There I am. I do the protein thing because of keto, because you have to count your fat and your protein and your carbs and keep them in their proper relationship. So on keto, you actually use more fat than you do protein. And actually, if you don't do that in keto, it can actually turn to that sugar thing and throw off your ketosis. So I'm not doing my keto as harsh in the summertime because we're traveling so much. It's hard to do the extreme thing that I was doing and stay on top of the traveling. But I do count protein, I do count fat, I do count my carbs, and I do stay on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from people on the chat, YouTube, etc., what they're doing. Is there any truth to the Restructure satisfying you more than you imagined it would? I mean, basically, I eat that protein and maybe a couple of ounces of cheese a day. You know what I'm finding, and I have said it before, when I take all the minerals that I take, I don't feel that I need a lot of food. So, and I'm not losing weight, and I'm not losing energy, none of that. So going through something, the environment is changing, the world is changing, and my body's not needing as much food. It's very interesting. And here's the blog questions. Christina is saying, I think she's saying I'm 125 pounds. My protein intake should be 43.75 grams. So it sounds like she's using the scale that I mentioned. I do CrossFit, which involves a lot of weights. I don't max out hardly at all, but I do push myself to get stronger. 44 grams of protein isn't even close to what I know my body needs. Is there a specific formula for those in need of more protein based on their lifestyle? I think all we say there, Christine, is just add Restructure. You know, you're eating your chicken, your meat, your eggs, your cheese. You're adding up all those proteins, and then I don't have enough. Then you do a scoop or two of Restructure. That's what I would say. If your body is saying that, or you're feeling that that's not enough, then that's what I would do. And I don't know if that's a good enough answer, but that's what I would do. Barbara's saying, can a diabetic use Restructure protein powder? Absolutely. It does not have sugar, does not have milk sugar even in it. So it's perfectly safe and wonderful for diabetes. And Claire is asking, is supplementing protein with a powder healthy? Well, it's healthy if you have a healthy powder. I mean, basically. And as I did say earlier, take it slow when you're eating it. Chew your shake. Don't just gulp it down, and you will digest it. Mary is saying, I'm curious that the protein powder is bioactive whey protein. It is. And I mean, bioactive means it has not been heavily processed. She says, I've been diagnosed with super low glutathione and read that bioactive whey protein is a good natural way to boost your glutathione. And it is. So yes, the Restructure is a bioactive whey protein. And Robert is saying, how do I get enough protein on a keto diet? Will Restructure help? It will help, but Ginny said this a minute ago. She said it kind of quickly, but what she said was if you eat too much protein on a keto diet, it can go through kind of a reverse gluconeogenesis and break down into carbohydrates, which sounds bizarre, but that's what the keto people are finding. So you want to measure your fats, make them the highest, and then make your protein between the fat and carbs. Jenny, if I can grab you back in here to ask, is there a percentage of protein or a number of protein grams that keto talks about? I've forgotten.
It's a percent. It's 60, 30, 10. So 60% fat, 30% would be from protein, and 10% is carbohydrate.
Right. So 60, 30, 10, if you're looking at 50 grams, then you're looking at 30 grams of fat, 15 grams of protein, and the rest in carbs. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
So that's your a little over one scoop of Restructure.
Yeah.
That's your protein for the day, Robert. And the last question, Restructure and lactose intolerance. Is Restructure safe for those who are lactose intolerant? And this we love to answer because we don't overly process our whey. So and this looks like it's from my book. I just grabbed it from my book. We don't overly process our whey. So there's some lactose milk sugar remaining, and it's about 1/10 of 1 teaspoon or 0.625 milligrams in each serving of Restructure. That's only 2 parts in 100 parts of Restructure. And by comparison, 1 cup of milk contains 12,000 to 13,000 milligrams of lactose. So we're saying less than 1 milligram of lactose. And this infinitesimal amount of lactose in Restructure does not trigger lactose intolerance, which is created when you don't have enough lactase enzymes to break down our large quantity of milk sugar. And we're also casein free. Casein is the other protein in dairy, in milk. And so we don't trigger that allergy. And there's some beautiful testimonials here, but I don't know. Let me just hold back on those and see if Ginny has anything to say. And then came into the chat with questions about the protein.
A couple people said that one thing Patrick noticed is that the Restructure has 12 grams of protein in it. So yes, so it did go up a gram more than the previous version. Everybody's thrilled about the chocolate part, which everybody should be, because we got asked and asked, but it's very exciting. And actually it's very good. It's a nice, rich chocolate flavor without being chalky and icky. And so Cherise said this week, my naturopath said my protein level was too low, as is my ferritin level. I don't like meat taste texture. I've not tried Restructure. Maybe it's time to see if that will help my level. And I would say absolutely. And Restructure is just so easy to use because, as Carolyn does, you can mix it in with so many things. We have people who use it as a creamer in their coffee. You can put other things in it, like berries and stuff like that. And like I said, with my husband, he does the
psyllium.
What I used to make, I don't make it anymore, was I would take the vanilla and peanut butter powder and chocolate powder and put those in. So I haven't made a peanut butter chocolate shake yet, which I'm going to do. But that's a great, peanut butter is a great way to boost your calorie content. You can mix it with yogurt. You can mix it with ice cream. People do that. You can pour it on your berries like Carolyn does. I mean, it's unbelievably versatile. It just tastes so good.
Right. My berry formula is chopping up any berry that you can find, because they tend to be low fructose. And I mix up the protein, the Restructure protein powder, with heavy whipping cream and mix that up into, thick paste, and then sweep that around in the berries and scrunch them down. Do not whip it in a blender, because then you just get it, a mush. You want sort of a crunchiness. Anyway, it's just delicious, and I'm still eating it, except when I travel to North Carolina in the winter, I can't eat my cold berries. They just don't work in my mouth. Right, Ginny?
Yeah, that is right. That is right.
Okay, so if for the next little bit, we could do calls, do chat. I do have, as I said, testimonials about Restructure that are awesome, and a few other things to mention, but we can go to the phones if you'd like.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What do we got going on here now? As far as the telephones are concerned, everybody knows the number 646-558-8657. And then you've got to put in that ID, which is 8836953587. And if you're on the line now, want to talk with Dr. Dean, we do already have some raised hands. You've got to hit *9 on your keypad. *9 will raise your hand here in the studio and let me know you have a question or comment. We'll put you on the phone. So we will take those phone calls. Let me see if we have other comments here. I think that's about it as far as the Restructure is concerned. Yes, so we should be able to take some phone calls and move on with our conversations this evening.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go out to area code 719. 719, hit *6 to unmute your phone. Area code 719. We'll go to you first this evening. Area code 7. Okay, wonderful. Very good. Very good. All right. Hello.
Hello, this is Pamela.
Oh, hey, Pamela.
I haven't talked to you in a little while, but I kind of got a big can of worms going here, and I just don't know where to go with it. So I wanted a little input, if you can.
Sure. Go ahead, Pamela.
I am taking most all of your minerals, and they do help me a lot. I still don't know how to handle how much calcium and potassium, and I think maybe that depends on my blood tests. Is that correct?
The potassium does. The calcium, yeah, it could to a certain extent, but the calcium, we go by the diet. We send people to a online app called chronometer.com, and we can have one of our people go over that with you someday. But it's a way of inputting your diet to see if you're getting enough calcium in your diet, because an adult person only needs 600 milligrams. And you could be getting that from cheese and greens and nuts and seeds and things. Potassium, you can do the same thing with potassium. We need 4,700 milligrams. So, I mean, that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. And let's look at potassium in foods and see what we're looking at. Gosh, they've got the most ridiculous foods here. Let's look at potassium in something like bananas, so that it's okay. So a medium-sized banana, 7 inches long. Now, 7 inches long is about the span from your thumb to your middle finger. So a banana that long has 422 milligrams of potassium. So I'm saying you need 4,700 milligrams. So that would be 10 bananas. But you would never do that, because then you'd get diabetes. So we have to kind of use that as a guide to, oh my gosh, that's a lot of food to eat to get my potassium. And what's happened, I think I twigged onto it in a big way around the keto business, because in the keto diet, people aren't hardly eating any carbohydrates. And so that meant they weren't getting their potassium. So I said, okay, then I have to make a potassium product. And what we've got in the pico potassium is each teaspoon is 400 milligrams, which comes across because it's so well absorbed, as about 800. So that's you eating 20 bananas right there. And if you're online, you could look it up. Salad greens, I have a list here. A serving of arugula, 74 milligrams. That's not much. Butternut lettuce, 131 milligrams. Endive, who eats a whole bowl of endive? That's 157 milligrams. So, potassium is hugely important. It supports the way our magnesium works and all the rest of it. So when you're saying you don't know how to handle calcium and potassium, are you having any symptoms that you're still working on?
Well, I still have a little cramping in one leg sometimes. It's much better than it ever was.
Yeah.
I am still in AFib. I went to the cardiologist today, and that's what's bringing all this up.
Yeah. Well, then that's your potassium. Let me just dive in. I'm not your doctor. I'm not allowed to say that, but in my mind, it would be a potassium situation. If I had what you're saying, cramping, and still some AFib, that would be potassium.
Okay. Well, I know I wasn't taking very much, but just didn't know. I knew that my last blood test, which was quite a while ago, my potassium was way high. And so my doctor said, get off the potassium. Well, I didn't want to get off of it, but I did cut it back.
Well, what happens is when you go for blood tests, you can't take your minerals before you go in for a blood test. It can show up. So it,
Oh,
if they find it high once, they should tell you, come in fasting, make sure you're well hydrated. We'll do it again and see. And it would be probably normal,
yeah.
whereas,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't know they were doing it.
mhm.
They just did that
Okay.
for them.
So
Um,
you can prove to yourself, by your diet, looking it up and seeing how many milligrams you're getting, and then take your potassium. If you have trouble doing that, just email customer service and someone will call and talk to you about it.
oh, okay. All right. I was wondering, are you familiar with Anne Louise Gittleman?
Oh, yes.
I thought I heard you mention her or something or another. Anyway, I was reading some of her stuff tonight, and I see where she mentions some things that you have not mentioned, and I didn't know what to think about it. One being L-carnitine. This is for the AFib I'm talking about.
Right.
The L-carnitine, and of course she said you have to have enough K2 to balance these things out. And I don't know, do you have anything to say about her recommendations?
Well, L-carnitine, coenzyme Q10,
Yeah, that too.
yeah, and ribo something, Dr. Sinatra recommends them. What we've found is if you get your magnesium and potassium right, then you don't have to go to these other nutrients. I mean, they have, they're interesting and all the rest of it, but I've never had to recommend them when we can get the minerals right. So, yeah, and they can take any nutrient and say, oh, it's good for this, that, and the other thing, and it makes you think, oh, that's what I need. But unless a person is saturated with magnesium and then has enough potassium and the remite minerals and your protein, all these things, the basic things that we're talking about, then there's no need to go off and use all these other possible nutrients. So
okay,
how much remag are you taking, Pam?
2.5 teaspoons.
Okay, that's seems appropriate. And however, you still get the AFib, so that it means myself, I would work up to about 2 teaspoons of potassium probably.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking of this
right.
night.
Right.
Okay, what about blood thinners? The cardiologist, of course, wants me on a blood thinner, and the only thing I would even consider would be the nattokinase. Do you think that's
Well, that's what I write about. I try not to give medical information, but certainly in Japan, they're doing a lot of nattokinase, etc., and it's helpful. So until you get yourself under control with the extra potassium and the calcium, you might not need it. If you do take our Recalcia, then you have to be sure to probably increase your remag by 1/2 teaspoon. And even while you're trying to get your AFib under control, you might go to 3 teaspoons of remag, because if you're being offered a blood thinner, then, it's something that you want to get under control as soon as possible.
Yeah. Ladies, we've got to take a break for the top of the hour. Pam, are you good, or should we hold on? You want to come back? What would you like to do?
I'll come back.
Okay, we'll just take a break and we'll pick up where we left off, ladies. We're here, right here, and we'll be right back.
back with Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginny Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RNAreset.com to learn more. That's RNAreset.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
Perfect. Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, Dr. Carolyn Dean live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And of course, on our YouTube live, just a quick update or reminder, if you've heard something on the show, you have a question or comment you want to leave after the show's been recorded, including the tens of thousands of people who download the show through the archives and podcasts, please email Not all at once, though, please. Melody Rose at questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And she will follow through and get you the information that you need, since you're not going to be able to talk to Carolyn because she's not going to be there when you listen, in the pre-recorded version. Now, the other thing I want to just say is that Maria said, "Oh my gosh, thank you for a great idea to use Restructure in my coffee." So you're welcome, because that is a really good thing to do. And thank you, Rachel, for fixing the kids, which happened so long ago. And they were broken, but now they're repaired. So we're so happy. And we've got our caller still on the line, right? So we're going to continue with Pamela.
I'm still here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Anything more, Pamela? Did we answer your questions?
Okay. No, I might have another question or two, but I want to get clear now. We said probably do 3 teaspoons of the Remag. Did you say work up to 2 teaspoons on the potassium and the calcium?
Just the potassium.
Just the potassium. Okay. But I do need to work up on the calcium too, I think, right?
Well, no, the calcium, you're going to see what calcium will do if you don't really need it is bring down your magnesium. So
right.
What you want to do is check online with a list of calcium rich foods and see if you're getting your 600 milligrams already, because you may do. Okay.
All right. Now, another thing I wanted to ask about, one of the major symptoms that I have with this is dizziness on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, I just plain can't function. And I'm wanting so much to travel to see my mother, because I haven't seen her in a year and a half with this pandemic and everything. And I will have to drive because they won't let me in. I'm not vaccinated, so they won't let me in if I fly. But if I drive, they're okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Viruses only fly; they don't drive. So, okay, the dizziness. Now, tell me, when you have a spell of dizziness, do you think that your heart rate is irregular? Are they correlated? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, seriously, in the next month, as you're getting your Remag up and your potassium up, things will shift.
Okay. I was hoping to leave the end of this week, but I had a little issue with it today, and I thought if I feel like this, I'm not going to feel like driving. Right. So I wondered.
Well, also, let me just interject. You just went to the doctor, so they scared the socks off of you. So that's a bit of stress there.
No, I knew what he was going to say, but he was much nicer than I thought he would be.
Okay.
But what I did want to ask about that is there something I can use on an emergency basis if I start getting dizzy, and I'm driving or something? Could I take another shot of magnesium, or would that not help that fast?
I can't tell you what to do medically, but we know many of our customers tell us exactly that. If they have, heart or leg cramp or whatever, they just say, I'll take another half to even a whole teaspoon. Ginny did that. Didn't you, Ginny? Was that your experience personally?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And what I tell people with AFib, rub it on your chest, right over your heart cavity. That works a lot for people. People can also take just a couple drops in some water, hold it under their tongue. That seems to help with the AFib. We've told them that before. So, really, there's just no end to what you can do with the Remag, but rubbing it on your chest and holding it under your tongue under just a couple drops, not a half teaspoon or something. Those two seem to really help quite a bit.
You know what I do, Pamela? I don't have the heart palpitations anymore, so I don't have to, but if I were driving, I would put Remag in a little spray bottle, like a little cosmetic spray thing, and just spray that on my arms or on my chest or, on my cheeks periodically. And, just because, the head, the dizziness and everything, just to have something, that is going to be helpful. And I'm not going to say it's a placebo or anything. It's going to do something, but to have something as a first aid to assist you would be wonderful. Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah, I think I can do it if I know that there's something like that I can use.
Right.
That's what I'm mostly concerned about. So, okay,
right.
I think I'm okay with that. He does want to do a 2-week monitor wearing thing, which I've done in the past.
Yeah.
Is that really necessary?
Well, you know what you have. He knows what you have. It's not going to change anything. And, as I said, maybe within a month with your electrolytes more balanced, if he did your next cardiogram, etc., he won't find anything.
There's the idea. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. That's what you work toward.
That's how I was going to do it anyway, because I told him I was going to leave town. He said, that's fine. Wait till you get back. So I'll just do that.
Right. And, they just want something to do where they want you to think that they're doing something. So if he didn't say, oh, no, you have to do it now, it's essential. No, it was just something to do. So you don't have to do it right now.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel a whole lot better about this trip.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And yes, driving in a car with the radio blaring without wearing a face mask, you'll have a great time.
I always take some good, not music usually, but like a audio book or something with me.
Oh, yeah.
Really do have a good time driving. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. How, let me ask you, how long is the drive to your mother's?
I do it in 2 days. I do 6 hours one day and 6 hours the next.
Okay.
Do one overnight because I'm in Colorado and she's in Minnesota.
Right.
I can't drive all in one day by myself.
Right. Ginny, we have iPods that Pamela could download, don't we? She could take us with her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, you mean archives?
Yeah. How could
absolutely. Yeah.
So how could she do that? What does that entail?
Well, if you're in a Audible book situation, some of Carolyn's books are Audible. And then if you're on Kindle, you could do it that way. And the Kindle will read to you now. And if you're on YouTube, you can just go through Dream Vision 7 or any of Carolyn's archives. And if you're in a podcast situation like Apple or whatever, you just subscribe to Carolyn's podcasts and it'll populate the last 7 years.
Okay, all right. If I can figure out how to do one of those things, I will. I'm not real good with all the electronic.
Well, call customer service if you need
they'll
to.
help you. Yeah, they'll help you.
Oh, that would be great. Okay. Oh, super. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, take us with you for Pete's sake.
Yes, I'd like to. Yes.
It'll definitely keep you inspired for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I need because my one sister is going to be there, and I think she's afraid to be around me because I'm not vaccinated.
Tell her you're breathing goodness on her. She'll be. Oh, golly.
Yeah, she decided it might not be so bad if we wanted to go out to dinner if my other sister who's not vaccinated and I sat at one table and she and Mom would sit at a different table.
Oh, crazy times.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, my dear.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Good talking to you. Bye-bye now. Safe journey.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, wonderful. Excellent, excellent information there. And let's press on with let's see if we've got more callers. I'm always assuming everybody wants to talk to Carolyn. So
Hey,
let's
Ginny, did you notice Brian sent out the latest blog and it's about chocolate restructure?
Yes.
It looks so tasty. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. And it says flavor alert, which I think is so great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe can people say on the chat, what do you think of our email blasts, our marketing emails? They're obviously marketing, but we do try to educate people. So if we could have some comments about Patrick and the people who are, so keen on us and our products. What do you think of our email marketing?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, very good. All right, very good. We shall ask. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so callers. 646-558-8657 is the number to call, and we don't have any raising hands right now, Carolyn. So what shall we do?
Okay, let's go to these Restructure testimonials that Melody Rose sent in to us.
Oh, good.
Okay, so this person says, I have pancreatitis, and I find the Restructure is the only supplemental protein that I can safely take without intestinal discomfort. Gives me assurance and comfort to know that it's being digested properly. I'm so happy. Now seriously, that is so important. So someone who finds our Restructure very digestible. Okay, she or he continues. The reasons this would be another one. The reasons I love Restructure: 1, the ingredients include several healthy foods, including different sources of protein. Yes, we have whey, pea, and rice protein. I was able to discontinue a couple other supplements because of them. The whey, it has whey, it tastes delicious, it mixes easily, and it fills me up. Someone else, I came upon this on my own, first purchased a sample, as most protein powders have something in them that bothers my throat. This one is the best tasting and it doesn't hurt my throat. Another one, Restructure protein powder is my go-to when I cycle. My wife and I are high mile cyclists. We travel all over on our road and off-road bikes, not motorized, but pedal bikes. Last year, we rode over 4,000 miles. Whenever I know I'm going to travel big distances, I always add Restructure into my water bottles and have Remag and Remite as well. I never ever leave out for cycling without these. The combination gives my body the fuel it needs. I cycle forever without leg cramps, and I know my body's receiving life-sustaining nutrients from my heart and other metabolic body functions. One of the biggest complaints from fellow cyclists is cramping. I tell them they need magnesium and minerals, but the right ones, Dr. Carolyn Dean's. And I say this with all sincerity to the reader. To prove my point, my wife and I rode in a 24-hour cycling event. We ended up riding 206 miles without any body complications, thanks to Dr. Carolyn Dean's products. Don't hesitate; your body will thank you. Is that the cyclist that helped set us up for the cycling study that we're doing, Jenny? Do you think?
No, because that's a man. I think it's Fredo, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the gals were the ones who got involved with the bicycle study.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're moving ahead with our research now that the people can go to the universities, okay, without having to quarantine, etc. So next one, every morning I eat a Restructure shake. Now that's the right terminology. You don't drink it down like water. You eat it right before my yoga routine. It's absolutely delicious and satisfying. I just had a power outage in California. I wasn't worried at all because I was able to maintain my calorie intake using Restructure. My recipe is homemade cashew milk, cinnamon, unsweetened cocoa, and nutmeg. And now he or she can get our chocolate Restructure, not have to add the cacao. Next, I have used many different protein powders over the years, and Restructure is by far the tastiest. I trust I'm getting all the vitamins and minerals I need in a tasty drink. Love it. Next and last one. This product is simply the best. I use it daily. I make a smoothie and add the powder, or I will add it to my morning healthy cereal of choice. When in a hurry, I will take a few small spoonfuls and mix with almond milk and then be on my way. It's very tasty. It's an energy booster. It gives the needed nutrients for me. I notice when I miss taking the product, I'm not feeling the energy levels that I desire. So please keep the RNA Restructure available. Hopefully it will help others to be energized for their day. So people are being so sweet. So that's those. I do have some other things to talk about if we don't have any callers at the moment.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, we do not have any more callers at the moment, but let me just remind you, if you're on the phone and I'm not calling on you, it's because you haven't hit *9 on your keypad to raise your hand and let us know you do have a comment or a question. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking. Yeah, all right. I guess we'll keep talking. All right, go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay, so this was something I came across in Medscape, a study which, it's no news to us, but somehow they managed to study children and ultra-processed foods. So they're saying ultra-processed foods make up 2/3 of the average American kid's diet. An analysis of over 30,000 US children and adults found, reported this horrible statistic. In 1999, ultra-processed foods made up 61.4%. By 2018, so like 10 years later, it had increased to 67%. So from 61 to 67%, getting worse and worse. Sweets and sweet snacks, sweet bakery products, ice cream, desserts, candy, cereal, nutrition bars also became more popular, increasing about 2%. This analysis did not find a link between parental levels of education and income and the amount of ultra-processed foods kids consume. So seriously, people, you're killing your kids. And actually, Ginny and I want to start a push to get more parents of growing children and grandparents of their grandchildren to get them more turned on to our products and a better diet. And looks like this is why we have to do that. It's just horrific statistics. This week there were 2 sets of people that got in touch about post-viral symptoms, and 20% of all kind of moderate to serious flus will continue with symptoms. They act like it's a new thing. It is not. They're even talking about a tachycardia after a virus. And the virus I'm talking about, that which will not be named. Tachycardia after a virus is magnesium deficiency, for Pete's sakes. And that's not going to be told to you. And, personally, I would be taking the following to work on post-viral symptoms. Pico Silver, 3 teaspoons a day. Pico Silver squirted up the nose and in a nebulizer. Remag, 3 teaspoons a day. Remite, 1.5 teaspoons a day. Pico Zinc, a teaspoon a day. Pico Potassium, 2 teaspoons a day. Put all of that in 2 liters of water with a half teaspoon of sea salt and 2 scoops of whole sea reset to taste. and drink it through the day, the 2 liters. So that's maybe all the water you need in the day. It'll help dilute all the mineral taste down, and with the Whole C Reset, make it a, kind of slightly tasty drink. And I'd also be taking 2 Realign and 2 D3K2. And then we have a couple of other products, but I think that's enough. And it makes it easy. Most of those, most of the nutrients are the liquid minerals. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different minerals. I take some of that every day, plus a teaspoon of recalcia in my vitamin C reset water. I think I said Whole C Reset for test. I meant vitamin C reset berry powder. So Ginny, what do you think of that formula?
I love it. I think it's perfect. And I mean, how can you go wrong with that? I mean, that's just so impeccable for the body. I mean, it really is. It's high absorption, which means you're going to use everything that your body needs, and the things that it doesn't need, it will store. And there's only one mineral that the body doesn't store, and that's zinc. And we've got that in a higher dose if people need it in an emergency. But I mean, it's just wonderful.
Right. Yes. I mean, we have customers, they will get in touch. They'll be on, their 1 and 2 teaspoons of Remag and Remite, and maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of Pico Zinc, 1/4 teaspoon of Pico Potassium. And then, something will happen, a virus or stress, and symptoms come up. And what happens? They go to the doctor. And if you've got a virus, they may just send you home and say, well, come back when you're worse. If the hospital happens to have the monoclonal antibodies, they'll say, oh, well, we'll give you an IV of monoclonal antibodies. One customer took the monoclonal antibodies and he felt worse. And then, they may finally get in touch with us, and we just say, look, double everything up. You've got all the nutrients there for supporting the structure and function of the body and the immune system. But we haven't really gotten that into people's heads enough that you have everything in your own cupboard. People do like to go to the doctor. We do not discourage that. They like to go to the doctor and just be reassured that, heaven forbid, they're not having a heart attack or a stroke or something. But now, if they do happen to have something like the monoclonal antibodies there, they'll want to give it. And they'll say, well, you got to take this now. You can't come back and get it later, whatever. So they're getting, propelled into taking treatments that, they may or may not require. So I just want to remind people that if you're on the products, just take more. You've got them right there in front of you. What do you say, Ginny? Ginny's coming. Don't worry.
Yep, that's not only what I say, but that's what I do. That's what everybody does. I mean, that's what our staff does, and our customer service team, and our family members. And they'll just, and now they just, call or text. They'll be like, I'm feeling a little this, and I'm thinking I should take more of that. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
exactly
you should.
Right.
Yeah. So it's fun. I mean, it's really fun to have the answer right at your disposal, and to be able to adjust your own things, because everybody's body is a little bit different, but they know how to take care of themselves now. And I mean, that's teaching the person to fish, right? I mean, that's just the most rewarding thing to be able to do, is that people are able to support themselves that way. It's phenomenal.
Right. And here's a study I came across. It's a magnesium and vitamin D study. And the way they talked about this study is like, oh my gosh, look at us. We're studying 2 things at a time. It's amazing. Wow. And it just bogs my mind because science likes to study one thing at a time, separates everything else out, doesn't have any correlation or association with anything. And it's wrong because the body doesn't work that way. The body has a synergism with everything. So they say for decades, deficiencies in micronutrients such as magnesium and vitamin D have been linked to conditions such as depression and obesity, as well as their associated hallmarks of systemic inflammation. A recent randomized double-blind placebo-controlled clinical trial reveals that co-supplementation with magnesium and vitamin D significantly decreases depression scores and body weight in healthy women with obesity. So they had 102 women, but then look what they did, Ginny. A weekly soft gel containing 50,000 international units of vitamin D and a daily tablet of 250 milligrams of magnesium compared to a placebo. So as we said earlier, taking 50,000 units once a week is not the way the body wants its vitamin D. It wants to have some vitamin D every day. So they kind of blew it there. 250 milligrams of magnesium. Now it's only going to be, 4 to 20% absorbed. So they're not getting much of that at all. But even so, they got positive health outcomes from that, little rinky-dink study. So can you imagine what would happen if they did it properly? And the FDA it won't approve of this study because you're not supposed to use nutrients to treat health conditions. If you treat a health condition with a nutrient, you make that nutrient a drug. And that's where the bottom line with the FDA and the medical establishment is they want to have control of supplements. They want to be able to, diagnose conditions and give the supplements as drugs. And this is kind of a follow-up from last week about magnesium in the heart. And I realized that I didn't say this, that none of the so-called scientific research is viable if they do not include the level of ionized magnesium in the patients they're testing for heart conditions, because that makes all the difference about the health of the heart, how much magnesium a person has. And then I did mention this earlier about they're calling this condition long COVID if you still have symptoms after you supposedly recover. And they say tachycardia is commonly reported in patients with post-acute COVID-19 syndrome. They call it PACS, PACS, post-acute COVID syndrome, also known as long COVID. Authors report in this new article that tachycardia is common. The researchers say tachycardia syndrome should be considered a distinct phenotype. I mean, they just love doing that, creating the disease and offering, no cure, basically. So, Ginny, I'm kind of tapped out here for a minute. I have some other testimonials somewhere.
Well, we've got a couple callers and
have anything.
Well, we had our callers and then
chat or phone calls while I find the testimonials.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Jenny.
Carolyn, did you turn down your thing accidentally?
I think my sound is down. Help! Rachel, where am I?
Are you there?
I'm here.
That's so hilarious. Okay, I had callers holding and then they just disconnected. So I'll invite them to call back in and raise your hand, *9, and we'll get you right on the phone with Dr. Dean. I know you were being patient there for a minute while we were talking about a few things, but just come back on in and we'll put you on the phone. Again, 646-558-8657 and then 8836-953587 is the ID number for the station. Carolyn, I did want to say something about the or the thing about the processed foods for
Uh-huh.
kids,
Right.
it is so amazing to watch people with their children and see really what they do feed them. And I had that experience this past weekend because we were with a lot of kids through this wedding engagement situation.
Mm.
And what they give them the Capri Suns, that have the sugar in them. They give them the prepackaged snacks, even if it is, and they said that in their nutrition bar, which is what made me think of it. They think like those healthy granola snacks are good for them. They give them crackers and things like that. And everything comes in a package or in a jar or in a can. I mean, they don't, and even if they do, like, were to have a salad or something, they probably would have some kind of packaged dressing on it. It really is amazing. And these kids are eating things that are not grown outdoors. They're not grown in natural light. They're grown inside. They're processed through chemicals and machines. There's no love touching them. They're just all being processed with machines, and then they're putting them in their mouths. It's so sad, really. It really is. And so I do think we have to do some kind of a campaign. It'll have to be an awareness campaign, and we'll have to get, people to help us, like our customers that always help us and tell us the things that we should be saying to their grandchildren. Like, what would you tell your granddaughter or your grandchildren if you could talk to Dr. Dean? What would you want them to know? Because we've got to do something for these young people. And then on top of that, every single bite of food that they're putting in their mouth, they are putting in their mouth while they're either on their phone or in front of a computer.
Right. Wow. Yeah, we do need to get more information out there. But, I went through that. I created the whole 100 modules of my Completement Now series and just poured my heart into all these words. And people said, I don't have time to listen to it. Just tell me what to do. So what I'm doing at the farm, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, I'm getting 3 big what do you call them? Freeze dry, not dehydrators, but freeze dryers. Is that the word?
Freeze dryers. Yep. Yep.
That's a weird word. 3 big freeze dryers to dry farm food, either to powder it so people can put, buy 4 or 5 different powdered vegetables and make a soup. Boom, done. Or you can freeze dry and keep things in, some sort of original shape so that kids can just eat, a bit of pineapple or mango or carrots, freeze-dried carrots. I mean, if they want a package, we can give them a package. And I don't know if it'll just be a Maui thing for our markets here in the storefront that we're building, or if it's something that we could sell it through RNA Reset. I mean, it could be, because if what you're saying is that people just, they want to sit there in front of their devices with their hand in a sack of a snack, it's so much easier to eat out of a snack than to try to sit in front of your computer cutting a piece of meat or smashing up your vegetables. So that's where we've become these snack monsters.
That's like the Cookie Monster. We have to do something. I agree. I just have to think about it until the inspiration completely and totally finds us. But I go into the grocery store, Carolyn, and they have these big bags of freeze-dried apples and stuff like that, and mangoes and stuff. Well, you see them at Costco, right? The big bags of freeze-dried mangoes and things. So, I mean, we should be able to do something for kids. They need to be dunked in Restructure and soaked in Remag.
Right.
And then frozen. I'm just kidding.
But see, what will happen is they'll go for the fruits first. And then you got to know that these concentrated fruits are so high in fruit sugars, and fructose fruit sugar is very hard on the liver. So yeah, we when we do this with the farm, I've got to be very careful not to make it all about fruit.
I'll tell you another thing we should invent too is a non-toxic sunscreen, and it would be interesting to see if our Flora Refresh spray that we can't call a hand sanitizer, which is going to be out in 2 weeks, which our friend wants to call the Delta spray. That Flora Refresh spray, it's got zinc in it. It would be great if it could be a sunscreen, because it's got the zinc. And have we told everybody about the Flora Refresh spray yet?
Maybe not. Let's continue.
Because we do have this stuff. You guys are going to just absolutely freak when you see this stuff. Is so great. It's called Flora Refresh spray, and we made it instead of a hand sanitizer, and it's got zinc and remag and pico silver in it, plus it's got lemon verbena and aloe and
hibiscus,
and it is so wonderfully, it has the most beautiful light, little tiniest little bit of a fragrance. And if you accidentally get it on your mouth, which I do all the time because I spray it on my face, it does not taste bad at all, and it's got no alcohol in it, of course, but it's edible. It's edible.
It is edible.
Yeah. It would be so fun if it were a sunscreen. I may have to try that myself, because then we would get rid of toxic sunscreen issues too.
Right.
Especially.
Okay. So what we do, Ginny, is you get the Flora Refresh spray and add different amounts of zinc, like put it in different spray bottles and add a teaspoon of zinc, or maybe 2 teaspoons, and use that on your arms. Go out in the sun and see what happens.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll do an experiment, because Patrick was saying he's at Fire Island, which is up in, I think, Long Island, New York area. Yeah. And he was saying that the parents let their kids drink Sprite and eat sandwiches and then ice cream, and then they spray them with toxic sunscreen, which is so true. I mean, they've got it in every orifice. It's going in through their eyes, it's going in through their brain, it's going in through their skin, it's going in through their gut. Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. So if we could do something to help out these young people, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll work on there's always something wonderful to do. So we'll work on the sunscreen. Very good.
Right. Sounds excellent. Okay. Let's see if my caller's back that was got frustrated a little bit earlier, and I don't blame you. It's not a problem. Let's just see if you came back to me. *6 on your keypad, *9, excuse me, if you're here and you had something to say. You're not back yet, so I think maybe you had to jet off. Sorry about that. Diana Orlando is back with us tonight. She said she's glad she made it before the show ends. Her PT impacts her ability to get here on time, but it's going to switch to a different day next week. So she said, so good to listen to your voices and sharing of your knowledge. So thank you very much. And okay, let's see what else. Oh, here's something I did not know. We have somebody on our chat line, Sally, who is a master competitive rower.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. She uses Restructure. She's supposed to get 80 grams of protein a day when she's rowing. Oh. So she's using Restructure for that purpose, which I feel is a very good purpose.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a
very
lot.
Good. Yes. And yeah, it'd be interesting for her to compare with her the other rowers, if are they getting 80 grams, and how is their health? because when you eat that much protein, it is hard to digest 80 grams of protein. I just don't know how they do it without getting the toxic side effects of the uric acid, for example, that comes from meats. They talk about the rich man's disease is gout, G-O-U-T, when they eat too much protein and drink the fair amount of beer as well. They will get gout. I wonder if these other ladies are developing arthritic symptoms from all that protein.
Interesting. Okay, very good. Patrick adds zinc to his body lotion and to his Remag. He says it works wonderfully well. Probably as a sunscreen, right, Patrick? Yeah, body lotion and Remag. He's adding the zinc. Yeah.
Oh, well, way ahead of us. He's way ahead of us.
Amazing. Patrick needs to join our staff. I don't have any jobs open for him right now. I'll just have to hire him as a consultant. He can be our consultant in coolness because he's always doing something very cool. Like putting zinc in his moisturizer, and his skin is amazing and it doesn't even burn. He's so hilarious. I love him so much. Okay, what else shall we talk about? We've got about 14 minutes to the top of the hour.
Okay. Well, I found the testimonials. This was
very good.
Yeah, this was another list from social media. So they're cute little testimonials with lots of icons, red hearts and all the rest of it. So Donna's saying, I take half a teaspoon of Remag in a small amount of water before going to bed. I sleep very well. And I mean, half a teaspoon, seriously, that's only 150 milligrams. So for someone to have benefit with that small amount, it really kind of testifies that we do have such a well-absorbed product. Dixie says, I feel so much better. Susan says, magnesium is the only thing that works on my severe leg cramps. Bonnie says, my doctor just listed my armor thyroid. Listed? I think she meant lowered, because then she says, first time lowering meds since being put on them 24 years ago. This does work. So that would be our Remite. Someone says, get good electrolyte supplements. I really like this one, RNA Reset. This stuff works amazing. Get their emails, and it's full of good health tips. Someone says, Remite not only changed my life, but saved my life from hypothyroidism. I absolutely love, with lots of heart icons, it, and will never be without Dr. Dean's amazing life-saving products. Next one, Dr. Dean is the best in the business when it combines practical medical experience and her superior RNA Reset health supplements. Number 8, I love their products. Use Remag, Remite, and the D3K2. That's from Judy. Love these products. Stop my anxiety and heart palpitations. That's from Damon. And another, this works, Remite plus whole C. That's from Lynn. Number 11, I'm extremely gluten intolerant and have taken Flora Revive with no issues. And that's from Deirdre. And I guess maybe she's saying that because Flora Revive does have our RNA powder in it, which is from our germinated barley seeds that we squish out and make our RNA Reset drops from. And the liquid is dehydrated and then made into a powder. So it originally comes from barley seeds, but we test it to be gluten-free. But we can't say gluten-free on the label anymore because apparently barley, the word barley, people are allergic to. So the FDA won't let us say that it's gluten-free, even though it tests gluten-free. So that's interesting. That's nice that Deirdre says, I'm extremely gluten intolerant and have taken Flora Revive with no issues. Number 12, if I don't take my magnesium supplement, my hands and feet cramp up, something awful. And that's from Linda. And number 13, I know they are the best vitamins ever. I've tried them all and they excel. That's from Lucille. Number 14, I have Remag. I sleep like a baby. And that's from Betty. And number 15, you've given me my life back. 10 years of super low vitamin D. Wish I didn't have a thyroidectomy in 2011, but I didn't know what I know now. I did not get sick. I worked through a virus as a chef at a retired priest's home. I'm the oldest, only female. All other chefs were sick for weeks, and that's Suzanne. That's nice. Yeah, we get those types of reports from our people. 16, thank you so much, Dr. Dean, for all you have done to enable us to create healthy, strong immune systems. God bless you. And number 17, I'm so grateful for Remag. Now, the thing is about this healthy, strong immune systems, the FDA won't let us talk about the immune system anymore. We're not allowed to say we're helping the immune system. We can sort of say we're supporting the structure and function of the immune system. And also, the FDA doesn't care about us saying this, that, the FDA won't let us say this or that because they want people to be scared. Right? Remember an FDA person or an FDA consultant who used to be a former FDA worker. She said, oh, yeah, go ahead and tell them what's going on with you, that, we're censoring your words so that you can't tell people that they can be healthy with supplements. That's illegal. So I don't know have you noticed, Ginny, are there less supplement companies on Amazon as they clamp down on what people can say on their Amazon supplement accounts?
They say there is a major purging, but because of the level of type of company we are, we don't see the low end stuff as much. So I think there is a great purging of the underbelly, but the larger, higher scale, upscale companies like ours are still, on there. But they're all doing the same thing, is trying to figure out how to navigate through this situation. I think, Dr. Mokola took down 18,000 pages of content, and that would just have a horrible effect on, the natural health community, because so many things were interwoven, and how people did research and everything. A lot was promoted by Dr. Mercola. So it's these kinds of things. And like you said, they want you to be afraid, and they want you to think that they're very powerful. And we're actually powerful because we're able to respond and to shift and to actually adapt so that we can stay effective in what we want to accomplish, which is to provide natural, safe solutions for people in very alarming times.
Yeah, this stress is overwhelming, but it's great when people, keep in touch with us and come to us for our experience, and we give the experience of our customers. We pass on the information, and like we were saying earlier, in your cupboard you have our products. If you have symptoms, take more.
Yeah. Lisa's on the phone. Should we bring her on and let her say hello? We only have 5 minutes.
Okay, Lisa. Right.
Lisa, come say hello. *9 yourself. *6. Or do the blue button.
Do something.
Do something, Lisa.
What happened? I'm here.
There you are.
Hey. All right. I was finally, I got a chance to call in and say hi to you both. I've just been so enjoying listening to you the past weeks since I've been here in this beautiful place. You two have gotten so good, and you make me laugh all the time. And not only do you make me laugh all the time, the two of you, you also, I believe, at least for me, give such a sense of comfort to people. I feel a lot of the things that you say just make people breathe out and say, you know, it's a very calming. It's very calming. So,
yeah, I noticed that. Lisa, with Pamela, you know, to hear someone at the end of call saying, "Oh, I feel so much better. I feel I can do this." I mean, that means everything to be able to. What do we say? Let people know that the worst is over. You know, we've got your back. You're in charge. All those wonderful things, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I do think that people have a sense of confidence once they, like I was talking to somebody today and they were talking about the different variants. And I just said, you know, they don't scare me. I said, I feel like I have an army of, an arsenal to rely upon, and you know that I'll just make it through. It's interesting how many people are living in fear about it. And I also think, you know, you've taught me though with the mindset. You know, you become what you think, and so if you think you're going to get it and you're going to get sick, and then you're setting yourself up for that. And I just feel like I got my armor on with the RNA reset. Package.
Yeah, there's something in the Bible that Ginny knows, the whole armor of God. So that is perfect. Maybe that's what we should talk about, armor. Do you think the FDA will stop us from talking about armor, Ginny?
Yep. You can't use defense, protection, armor, or shield.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yep. Already got them all on the whole big list.
Oh,
that's why we're just going for total body wellness. Forget them. We won't talk about the immune system or their little weird variants. We'll just talk about how we've got this 100%, and our bodies are amazing and they can do anything, especially with the building blocks.
Wow. Yes, the FDA, they say that only healthy people take supplements. Unhealthy people are supposed to take drugs. That is their modus operandi. And Ginny, I mean, she hosted, you know, a crew of them for 4 days at the warehouse. And there's the holier than thou approach is that they're saving lives because they're stopping people from taking supplements. It's bizarre. It's like you know, brainwashing indoctrination.
It's bizarre. We only have 1 minute, ladies. We could talk about this forever, though, because it's so random and backwards. It really is. It's beyond the beyond. But I'm so glad you called in, sweetheart. I wish you, if you have a question, call next week, okay?
You got it. No problem. Thank you.
Bye,
Carolyn?
Lisa. Bye, Christy.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Okay, that's our signal.
been listening to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's broadcast, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe.